Here we are, we're live now. We even got a thing up saying we're alive, so we know we're live. So hello, this is the the second attempt at this podcast about surrealism. If you look at my channel, you'll see that there's a video up saying we tried it before and it failed for technical reasons. So I put the first 15 minutes up so people can see what the first 15 minutes were before it was abandoned because it was a disaster. And that was like after a good half an hour, 45 minutes to try to get it working even before that. So it was a full-scale disaster, but we got it all sorted now. We're here, and hopefully it'll be worth it. So my guest is Vulgarian Troglodyte, although everyone who watches my channel knows who he is. I mean, it's really... in this podcast, we're basically chatting, so I'm just doing an introduction, and we're both pretty much co-hosts for this thing, so it's not that big a deal. So I'll cover roughly what we started with on the other video in case you haven't seen it. It was basically surrealism started in the early part of the 20th century as a rejection of a lot of what they viewed as fascist propaganda and ideology in a variety of industrial countries like Germany, Spain, a whole lot of old empires who were moving to democracy very painfully. And it was coming from like the Victorian era where there'd been a lot of industry all over the world and colonizations and things, and you had a ruling class who thought they were the bees and the E's, and lots of other people looking at them thinking, you have all these structures of narratives that suit you, but you don't really go into what's going on in human life and humanity, and what's some of the absurdities of humanity and some of the absurdities of your ambitions. So surrealism was born in the 20th century. So you'd have it in art, you'd have it in writing, you'd have it in films, and then it progressed from there as the wars happened, the World Wars happened, the Spanish Civil War happened, and democracies were formed in the Western world. But surrealism still kind of was something that impacted the modern world from then on. Sometimes low level, sometimes high level, depending on the decade. Does that sound okay for you, Troglodyte? Is that a decent explanation for you?
Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
Yep. I'm just trying to kind of compress 15 minutes into half a minute there. Yeah. So in the other podcast being a look back on, we did talk about our influences and our first influences. And do you want to go into a little bit here, or are you okay sending them back to the other video?
Yeah, they can watch the video. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
We're coming to the end of that when the video stopped, so we're trying not to repeat ourselves. But so both of us like surrealism. We tried to get Ronan involved, but he wasn't really interested in doing that. He thought us lower beings could do it rather than him.
Well, we are the higher beings because we like experimental cinema, but yeah.
Well, listen, he's got some Doug McClure films to review.
Yeah.
Leave him to it. I'm sure you'll love that one. Yeah. So we did to actually kind of show what surrealism is. We both did a list of 5 films that we can talk about. So we'll just do one each, and we'll go back and forth as trying to show an example of surrealism and what surrealism means to us and why it means various different things, because there's all sorts of surrealism. There's a more obvious surrealism from like the Dali stuff to something like David Lynch, which is surrealism but done that people who are what you call normies can understand as something interesting to them. That can express them even if they don't understand it. So there's a whole variety of surrealism, and so that's why there's 5 choices each. So I think hopefully each of 5 choices, we can actually have a good spread. And hopefully neither of us have overlapped. Although I have sent Bulgarian my list, so we shouldn't overlap. I have no idea what he's going to say, but he knows what I'm going to say, unless he ignored my list, which could have happened. He could have just looked and gone, I've saw that book here.
No, my list is very different, although we have one, or we like both have films from the same director, like
All
one
right.
director, but then the others are different. Yeah,
I can guess who the director is.
yeah, it's that director. But one disclaimer I could also say that kind of relates to the point that you were making is that, of course, what we call surrealism might be a bit different than what like surrealist critics call surrealism, because there are like very particular definitions of surrealism, and those are a bit different from the kind of everyday use of surrealism. So some critic might say that, yeah, Buñuel is surrealism, but then something that we consider surrealism might not be kind of full-blown surrealism, but it might only have surrealist elements. But yeah, it's a bit kind of up to the individual, I guess, what they want to define surrealism as, and our opinion might be a bit different than critics, but just bear that in mind.
Yeah, and a different critic with different definition of surrealism. So it's not even those like critical community saying this is surrealism. It's changed over the years to be something that catches a lot of different influences. Yeah. So it's the thing. It was so long ago that when we first started this thing, I had to go back and look at what my list was and go, "Oh, that's my list," because I'd actually forgotten like what my list was because it was all the delays. But I'll let Bulgarian go first since he's sort of the guest, but he's here all the time. So does it really count as a guest?
Yeah. Well, I think we could get the obvious one out of the way, so the David Lynch films out of the way. So
right.
I chose my favorite one, Twin Peaks, Fire Walk with Me.
Right.
And that's, of course, a great, very kind of well-known example of surrealism. Of course, Lynch explores dreams in his work, so that's a big part of surrealism. But also we have this kind of very terrifying, horrific imagery, which is part of surrealism often. And of course, we talked about how surrealism often challenged kind of political ideas and stuff. And of course, in David Lynch films, in many of them, there is this kind of dark underbelly of the American kind of middle class world, and we have it here with like incest and abuse and stuff that happens in those beautiful kind of huge houses that Americans live in. And so there is that kind of political element here as well, and very kind of fragmentary narrative. Of course it starts with the FBI agents, but then after a while we get into Laura's story, and it kind of jumps around from place to place, but also from time to time, and of course from to the Black Lodge and stuff. So
yes,
it kind of has so many like typical surrealist elements. Even that kind of dreamy, hypnotic vibe that it has is very surrealist, and I think many people in kind of the everyday use of the term associate surrealism with that kind of hypnotic, dreamy cinematography and vibe that this film has.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I remember I saw this when it was first released. Like, I'm old enough to have seen it in first release. Like, when the critics were ranting about how he'd ruined Twin Peaks and how disgusting it was, and how dare he do this, and all of that stuff. I mean, it was like, because it was dark. It was really dark, and it was knowingly absurd while having incest involved. So surrealism can also go into the idea of we can take something serious, but we can also have just things that jar against what you'd expect from a realistic take in this to show some more details about something. Because, I mean, this one, Lynch is looking at abuse, but he's also taking it through, like, strange imagery to show, like, the hell of the abuse. So it's not just a literal... It could be a demon, or it could just be the subconscious. So he's using surrealism to actually explain a mood of someone's life.
Yeah.
All right, so I was passing it back to you, but anyway, but yeah, but also this film's terrifying. We've seen the cinema. This
Yeah.
film is absolutely terrifying. The soundscape is amazing, and if you listen to the soundtrack on its own, the soundtrack is amazing. But there's whole sequences where you're like, I know what's going on, but for some reason it's creeping me out, and I don't understand why. And it's all about the things that are floating below the surface of people's imagination that you can't quite get a grip to, and it's wonderful that way.
Yeah, I think I've kind of gotten used to the terrifying element now that I've seen it like 7 times, I think so. But the first couple of times I watched it, I couldn't sleep afterwards because it terrified me so much.
Yeah. I mean the sequence. I mean, it's not just like something that's the normal scary stuff. It's like just the atmosphere of it that just is terrifying. And there's stuff like when Bobby shoots the cop and things, and just the panic of it all, and just her laughing. It's just creepy and weird. And then you go into the whole thing of the angels and things, which shouldn't be there in a normal film, but it's perfect for what this film is. And that whole section earlier on about the two other agents, and you have the bit with David Bowie coming in as well. And it's like everything's just off and weird, but all that earlier on part sets up that it's not just a normal film about incest, it's a film about all sorts of things around the world that we don't understand, and they might just be in our heads, who knows? And a lot of this was expanded too for the Twin Peaks of Return. I mean, Twin Peaks of Return is more about like Fire Water with Me than it is the original Twin Peaks in lots of ways.
Yeah. And this film has such a beautiful kind of dualism. It has some of the most beautiful scenes, like the ending with in the Black Lodge with like Ancient Cooper and Laura, but then it also has those very disturbing scenes that are like more disturbing than any scenes in any horror film ever, basically. So
yeah, and one of the things television can do is actually look at things you can't quite face normally, and you can't find an explanation for that's understandable, and just show the imagery and don't have to explain it, so you can actually get a feeling of what it is, and you can look at it again and again to actually try and figure out why this thing's so much messing with you. So it doesn't need to be like overtly political. This film is not overtly political; it's implied political. Like below the surface of the American dream, there's a nightmare that is being suppressed, but it's not banging over the head with that. It's just like you're meant to get it, just because they expect you to be intelligent.
Yeah. And there's a bit of a dream and fantasy element with kind of Laura Palmer as well, kind of as how beautiful she is and how all the men kind of fall in love with her and stuff. So that's basic kind of fantasy and dream element there as well. So,
and then you get the reality of it. It's like she's in hell, basically. And that's just an image that they've cottoned onto. It's not really her. So it's a whole thing about the absurdity of like male obsessions and the weirdness of it all. So because we men can be stupid. We're really good at being stupid. It's like it's something we've gotten down to our teeth. We're really good at it.
Yeah. But most men aren't willing to admit that, unfortunately, and that's one of the reasons the world is so horrible. So.
Yeah. Oh, I'd expand that. Most people are stupid. I don't want to leave the women out. They can be stupid too.
Yeah, but definitely on average they are smarter. So.
Well, it's hard. Well, it's a low bar.
Yeah.
I mean, really, we're a low bar. It's all in us. Well, I'll go for my David Lynch one then. There's Lost Highway, which was made. This was his follow-up to Twin Peaks: Fire Walk with Me, and you could kind of call it its twin because it contains the same atmosphere. Well, Lynch would go away from this after Lost Highway, and he'd go to Straight Story then, Mulholland Drive, and he'd do something different. But this one I always liked this one a lot. It was always like one of those ones that was like is wonderful because it is a kind of a story about absurdity, which is the story is basically very basic. Is a guy gets some tapes from inside his house, which freaks him out, and then he starts to deal with this weird guy talking to him, seeing he's inside his house. This guy's played by Bill Pullman, and then about a third of the way through, everyone thinks he's killed his wife, and then he turns into Balthazar Getty, and then it becomes another story of a different guy who could be the same guy, could be someone different guy, and you can never quite tell what the reality is because it's almost like there's two realities going at the same time. Like, yeah, he is a reincarnation of this guy, but maybe he isn't. And the tale of it is it's enough to put people off because it's like, damn it, what's the explanation? And it doesn't give you an explanation, which I find wonderful because it is a bit of kind of fragmentation of someone's headspace and who they are and what they are. And I think it's perfect in lots of ways. Now, I mean, the film itself, I mean, I think that it's everyone kind of agrees that the Bill Pullman stuff's the best part of the film. The early parts and the parts where he comes back later on. And the middle section is just not strong. I still really like the middle section, although I wish there was a different actor in the lead because I think Balthazar Getty's okay, but I think someone better could have been. Well, I heard that there was meant to be Edward Furlong to start with, and he couldn't do it, and he'd have been better choice because he looks like Bill Pullman a bit more. Is more the tone, but just this sense of even that doesn't really bother me because it's like just the idea of this fragmented guy, and we always just think of ourselves. We know who we are. We know how we react. We know exactly what we are. And this film's like, no, you don't. This guy's swamped by subconscious, and he can't quite get out. And it's about an exploration of subconscious just exploding all over the place, and it makes no sense narratively, but it makes perfect sense emotionally. Which is why I think it's a wonderful film.
Yeah, I also love this film and have seen it many times, and it of course has that kind of Freudian element as well. That's part of the surrealist movement because it's about kind of like fragile masculinity and impotence in a way, and also like I kind of love this film all the way through, like even the middle section, and I think this is one of those films that it isn't as complicated and incomprehensible as one might think after one viewing, because when you watch it many times, you start seeing that there are actually many clues there to understand the film better, like kind of pictures on the table and things like that. Those types of more small things that help you understand it if you really pay attention to it. So,
yeah, but I think the simplicity helps in a sense because it just literally is one idea of a guy whose subconscious has exploded. That's it. And it just kind of goes from there. That's like, even though I said the midsection is not as good as the other two bits, I still love the midsection. It's just, I know it's not quite as great. It's a slight flaw in it, but it doesn't matter. Because it's still a great film. I still adore it. It's one of those films I watch every so often. I don't like to watch it too often. I want to watch it, then forget a little bit about it. Because I don't want to look at the clues. I just want to get the feel of it.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to work it out. It's not really what I'm there for with that film. I just want to have the idea of what it is. And I think the highs are so high in this one that it's just wonderful. And it's just the whole puzzle, it just is right up my alley, basically, just because it goes against everything you expect in narrative, because you expect an explanation, you expect something that's comforting about a person. Like, you expect a person to be able to say, "Oh, I was wrong. I must conform to something. I must die at the end of something." It's much more about like, what's going on in his head, and a refusal to actually just be obvious about it, which is what Surrealists were originally fighting against, is just try to be obvious. So trying to look under the surface and see what's all the cracks are on the surface. And this guy's got a lot of problems.
Yeah, the Mystery Man is one of the most like horrifying figures in all of David Lynch's films. No, not quite as much as the worst stuff in Twin Peaks, but almost as bad.
Yeah, you can't quite place him. It's just something's wrong with him. And but even like Bill Pullman, this film's scary in his own way. You normally in a narrative, you normally have a central character who is comforting. He's not comforting at all. He's as villainous as anyone else. You know, you get a sense from him that there's something really wrong with him. And this came when Pullman was just after Independence Day, and he was very kind of, you know, likable lead, and suddenly he's in David Lynch film and he's scary. And it's like, well, Lynch saw something in him.
Then there is that like crazy mobster as well, like who beats up the guy in the highway, like stuff. So yeah, he's a funny character in an intense way, kind of bit like Frank Booth in Blue Velvet, but not quite as crazy.
Yeah. It's also Lynch is actually taking the piss at himself in some of those scenes. He's parodying. He's actually like looking what his cliches are and mocking them within the film. Like he even his own past as a director is not sacrosanct to him, which is something that mainstream directors aren't very comfortable with, taking the piss at themselves. It's like it's a big no-no usually. So, do you have anything else to say about Lost Highway?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Well, so we're on to your second choice.
Yeah, so you have also seen this film, so it's Andrei Zulawski's Possession.
Oh, yes.
So this is a film that, it probably isn't like kind of full-blown surrealism, but it has like many surrealist elements, especially many of those elements that we've talked about here. Like it has that kind of political element there, like the Berlin Wall. Here offers lots of symbolism about the divide between people and different ideas and women and men, etc. And then it has a pretty crazy narrative. It can be followed, but it has lots of weird kind of irrational elements that just kind of appear, like the doppelgangers and then the octopus in the apartment building and things like that. And then in terms of the visuals, it's not as crazy visually as some surrealist films are. This kind of has a bit of a mix of like The Shining with kind of French New Wave. So it has kind of a very interesting and very kind of innovative and visual style that kind of mixes many different things together. And it also has that kind of hysterical element, especially with the Isabella Adjani character, who is absolutely nuts in this. But Sam Neill also gives, I think, his best performance ever. Like he's just absolutely unhinged here as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's something he's not asked to do very often. Like if you see in Mouth of Madness, he's asked to do it there as well, but not very often he's told to be normal. But this film is insane. I mean, Ronan doesn't like it. He says he likes it, respects it, but we don't know the reality. Let's just, let's just condemn him now and get over it.
It's too weird for his pedestrian taste.
Yeah, he's delicate. He's a delicate young man.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's watching.
Yeah.
But it is just like it's a wonderful film. But it's like the one thing I think about surrealism a lot of times is we are watching it. It's something that working on 2 or 3 different levels at the same time, and I always find with those kind of films, you're much more tired after you watch them because you're picking up stuff from like 3 or 4 levels at the same time. And the way in most films, it's just what's on the surface, and these are asking you to actually like pay attention because you have like a divorce drama going on, but you've also got all these like doppelgangers that are all kind of just strange and weird, but they can make their own kind of emotional sense. So it's like the weirdness of it all makes sense in a way that a normal film wouldn't make sense in the same way. This is how you get at the meat of the problem he's looking at, is by just going into fantasy, but not going into like pure fantasy of everything's going to be great. It's much more like the fantasy of our tortured mind, really.
Yeah. And this, of course, has lots of like body horror and even Charlo vibes to it. So
Yeah,
that can kind of, I mean, I guess, interfere with some of the traditional surrealist elements. So this like has those types of genre elements that maybe you don't usually see in surrealist films, but I think it has enough surrealist elements to be called at least kind of surrealist adjacent films. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think as surrealism as the kind of sense of the expression of the kind of entering through a narrative it's going to upset people watching it. It's going to make people think when they're watching it, it's like, what's this trying to say? What's going on? And it doesn't offer you one answer. I think one of the good things with surrealist films is they don't offer one answer to you. You're meant to think about it and find your own way through it. You're not meant to just say, "Oh, that's what it's about." It's like, no, you've got to kind of interpret it, because so much of it's visual and so much of it's how the performances are and what you get from those performances that might be upsetting to you at times, that creates that kind of surrealistic thing of questioning the kind of normal reality or the normal expectations of how you interpret the imagery that you're seeing.
Yeah, this film has just so much going on. Like, I think many people maybe think that it's just a kind of weird body horror thriller, but it's very, like a very deep film about like marriage and again the political kind of polarization and things like that. So yeah.
The funny thing with this film is this came out after The Brood. The Brood was David Cronenberg's film about a marriage dissolving, which involved like creatures and things, and it managed to even out weird David Cronenberg. That's how weird this film is. Even he would probably look at it and go, "My God, that's really taking to the next level."
Yeah.
This is Possession is wonderful. You'll never understand it the first time round. You'll just have to try and kind of hang on to your dear life and hope that you understand some of it, because you're not going to get all of it. You're going to have to kind of how fresh it can be the first time round is quite an experience.
Yeah, and this is quite like Lynch films in the way that it has lots of horrifying imagery, but at the same time it's really funny when you pay attention to the dialogue and things like that. It has that kind of dark humor there. Sometimes it's delivered in a very dry way, but sometimes in a very kind of explosive way, and I love that.
Yeah. So since I mentioned Cronenberg, I'll go into my Cronenberg film then.
Yeah.
Which is Videodrome. Which is a Cronenberg's film from the 1982, I think. This is so surrealist, it actually was made by Universal. And then when they saw it, they were horrified. They were like, what the hell do we do with this? So it was so subversive, they actually got a big studio to make it and then be horrified by what the hell it was. So this is all about... it does start with a plot. It's probably the most cohesive early plotting. Then it goes into insanity as it goes. But essentially, it starts off with a guy who runs a channel for adult-only channel, and he hears about a new channel called Videodrome that comes from Asia. That's apparently like snuff movies and just weirdness and outrageous imagery that's far beyond what most people can take. And as he gets into it, he starts going inside his head as he starts to hallucinate, and he starts to suspect his mind's been manipulated by the images he's watching. So this is a film that looks at an idea of you can be changed by the images you're watching, and you can be manipulated by the images you're watching. And so it's not just a healthy one-way street of imagery. It's like you interact with it, and in the film he interacts with imagery, and he ends up getting tapes inserted into him, and like tapes that turn into kind of flesh monsters that go in, into a stomach to rewrite them, and it is very strange. And it doesn't just pull back. It doesn't just pull back and say, "Oh, this is what it means." It's just like you're stuck with this guy who's hallucinating, and you never leave his point of view. So he keeps on hearing different things and from different people explaining what's going on. And there's various conspiracy theories, but there's also these weird images and weird metaphysics going on at the same time. And it's just like it becomes this kind of untangling of the narrative. So you don't really know what's going on. Which is why it's surrealist, because it's like all the conventions of a normal thriller are just the conventions of what we'd normally view as explaining things to make us feel good are completely thrown out the window with this film. It's like, no, everything you hear is subjective. Everything you see is subjectively manipulated by you and by outside forces from you. And it is a kind of like a weird surrealist take on like voyeurism and what we expect from people and how it affects us. And it's also the evolutionary idea of how our bodies are going to adapt to technology. So it's a wild film, and it's still getting ripped off like 30, 40 years later.
Yeah, I've only seen it once, like many years ago, so my memory of it is pretty bad. But I think Cronenberg, of course, this is maybe his most surrealist work, because usually his imagery and the content is very, of course, weird and you could say surreal, but sometimes the narratives are like fairly kind of straight to the point. But this one maybe has more of a complicated narrative that makes it more surrealist than some of his other films. So yeah,
he does some plastic reality films. Like there's Naked Lunch, there's Existence, there's Spider, that are like the reality that you're seeing breaks down pretty quickly and you're not quite sure what you're seeing, really. And his new film, Shrouds, has that kind of same feeling. It's like it's like there's technology, there's things going on, but you're not quite sure how much to take that as realism or not. So some of the stuff's surrealism, some of it's not. It depends on the film. But this one is just like, cause it doesn't explain everything. Everything's just in his mind. And it's almost like, what are we going to become, and just how do we interpret what we see, and how do we interpret our, desires? Because in mainstream cinema, our desires are usually viewed either good or bad. In this film, it's like not as complicated. Some of them are sick, some of them are wholesome, some of them are just sort of all over the place. And it's like, who are we really? Are we just these kind of monsters of our own like emotions, or are we actually thinking creatures? And so yeah, but it's surrealist in the sense of some of the imagery, but also in what it asks of the viewer, really.
Yeah.
To actually think about what you're consuming and how it affects you. Which is what the surrealists want you to actually think about. It's not just about accept the reality of the day. It's just like you have to look into what's actually been told to you. Which we should all do in these horrible times.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's any period that needs surrealism, it's now.
Yeah. But thinking is too hard for the average person. So
yeah. So yeah, I think Videodrome was one of the first ones I thought of when I thought of this one. Is like, I have to include Videodrome. It's like, seems obvious. So do you want to go with your next one then?
Yeah, I think the rest of my picks are ones that you haven't seen. So like now I'm going a bit kind of more underground stuff.
All right.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with a film called City of Pirates by Raul Ruiz. This is maybe the most kind of surrealist film in my list. Like this is like pure surrealism. I've seen this like 3 times now, and I have no idea what the film is about. Like it's that weird, yeah. But it has this kind of.
This is a film I want to see, but I've never seen it. It's more. I have no idea how you get hold of it. That's the thing.
No, I mean, it's only available on YouTube, but you cannot get it on physical media, I think. So.
All right.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was on YouTube, so.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, so it has this kind of weird, very fragmentary narrative that jumps around. But I think it's about kind of people who don't kind of belong anywhere. So it feels like this kind of odyssey, this kind of journey through from place to place to place. And those things aren't very connected to each other. And there is some like horrific imagery here as well, because there is this kind of homicidal child here who kills a person, and that's a very Charlo type of moment. And then the visuals are very surreal as well. Like it has some of those shots where they kind of paint the shots with like purple and blue and things like that. That makes it very kind of avant-garde and surrealist look to it. But yeah, it's a very difficult film to kind of explain, because I really don't understand it, because it's not the type of film that you understand. It's the type of film that you experience. It's kind of one of those kind of art gallery films with beautiful, weird images and great vibe to it, but it doesn't really make much sense, and I'm not even sure whether the director tried to say anything with it. Yeah.
All right, yeah, so it's just a weird film that's hard to figure out, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's sometimes that's what you want. No, sometimes it's like, I think that's the thing, is you think, sometimes you think like it has to make some sort of political sense, because sometimes just existing and just being odd in a consistent way is what you need. You don't need it to make any kind of rational sense, and that's good enough. You know, I mean, I kind of like that kind of thing, is when we don't actually know what it's about. I love that, because I like to rewatch films I don't know what it's about and try and figure out what they're about, because it's like, it's a challenge. It's an enjoyable challenge, and that's why a lot of like the Czech films and the kind of Eastern European films under the Russians, when they had to be subversive through surrealism, are so much fun, because you don't understand half the stuff they're doing, and it's like, I know it's about something, but I don't know what it's really about, and the fact is, it's actual reality beyond what the inner meaning is, creates its own kind of world that's fascinating.
Yeah, I was thinking of going with Valerie and her Week of Wonders as well, but I thought it's too difficult to explain. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, I left that on and off because I thought, well, you'll probably go for that one, even though we both love that one. It's like, it's hard to explain. It's like, yeah, I mean, that's part of the joy of that one. It's like, I know it means stuff. It's wonderful, but it's also a film you only want to watch when you're in the right mood for it. You don't want to watch it if you're in a normal mood. You need to kind of wait till you're ready for it, because it is delightful, and yeah. So City of Pirates is kind of in that area, basically.
Yeah, but I think it's maybe even weirder. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was originally going to do this Frankmeyer short films, and I thought it probably deserves its own video. It's probably needs its own thing, because you watch some of those and you have no idea what they're about, but you know they're about something. They're wonderful, but I couldn't explain them. I'm sure some professor in Poland could explain them quite easily, or Czechoslovakia could explain them, but I can't. It's like, I have my theories, but they're probably wrong.
Yeah, I still haven't seen those, so I need to watch them.
They're wonderful. But again, it's like Valerie's, you want to be in the right mood for them. Yeah. You don't want to watch them when you're not in the mood for surrealism. You need to be in the right mood for that kind of thing. It's just like, it's a specific feel to them that's just interesting. But yeah, no, so City of Pirates, you said the name was?
Yeah.
I'm just going to type it down so I can actually look for it later. Because it sounds like my kind of film.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you would like it, but Ronin definitely won't. But
yeah. And basically, if you've seen something weird shit, you recommend it to me, not Ronin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Ronin likes more kind of plot-driven and character-driven films rather than these types of films.
Yeah, we're the weirdo ones. We like the
Yeah.
We like the films. Is like, is there an explanation for this? Is there really?
And I don't really care if I find the explanation. I just enjoy seeing something weird. So.
Yeah. So I'll go for Manuel next because I did not want to go on Shin and Lu because I thought it was too obvious.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd go for Phantom of Liberty, which is one of my favourites of Manuel's. Although when I say that, I've got like 10 favourites of Manuel's, so it's like I'm basically lying because it's like Manuel's one of my favourite directors. It's just like, and my favourite changes like every 2 days, I think, if you ask me what my favourite is. And if you look at my channel, it's called Nazarene Prod. It's named after a Manuel film, so it's, obviously I'm a Manuel fan. But yeah, Phantom of Liberty is one of the ones he made later on where he's there's no narrative. You're going from person to person to these absurd narrative points, and it's just about the absurdity of civilized society. Now, some people prefer the earlier Manuel, where he still was sticking to narrative and there was a point, and then others like the later stuff. I like both. I just go over whatever one I liked when I watch because they're all great for me. But this is the one probably pushes people a little bit. Like, this is too far. He's going too far with this one. This is like, because where is the narrative at this point? Because for a lot of people, it's just a selection of sketches of just absurdity. There's a sequence with a sniper just shooting people. There's a sequence where people go to they go to the bathroom in front of each other, but they actually eat by themselves as if it's a private thing, which is a parody of the absurdity of human idea of what's civilized and what's not. And the whole thing, and there's one about a girl who disappears, even though she's still there with her parents, but everyone thinks she's disappeared and she's still fed, and it's just the absurdity of humanity and the absurdity of life. And there's this one about a young man and he's in love with his aunt. There's this whole section of her tale with all these absurdities going on. And it's just about the craziness of humanity and how weird we are and how strange we are and how most of our motivations make no sense and are just based on what we think is polite society and is based on our insane ideas of what logic is. I find it wonderful and refreshing to watch every so often when humanity and its absurdities have just gotten too much for me. This is one I can just chuck on and laugh at humanity's insanity because it's like, it's perfect for just if you're sick of the stupidity of people. It goes after everybody. Everybody gets it. And I think it's just wonderful. So,
yeah, I've also seen this one. It's kind of like Videodrome, so I don't remember that much about it, but I remember it was one of my favorite Buñuels when I watched it. And Buñuel has been a director that has really grown on me as I've gotten older. That at first I didn't get him that much, but the more I watch and when I've started rewatching his films, they've gotten better and better. Like especially the Exterminating Angel that we could have also mentioned here. Like that's my favorite one. But of course, he also has those films that are maybe a bit less surreal, like Los Olvidados, or I think the English name is The Young and the Damned. Yeah. But even that film, even though it feels like a very realist film at moments, but even that has some surreal moments to that. So even his kind of more normal films still have surrealist elements to them. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's I think he's one of the directors. Some directors, I think, as you age, they become more impressive. Like there's certain things within the films that you see the context for as you get older. Like things you would if you're watching when you're 18, you won't get because you haven't lived enough to get them, to get certain things. It's just the reality of living. This certain things you're not going to understand when you're 18 that you understand when you're getting older. I think Buñuel is one of those directors that he kind of it's very useful to have aged a bit. I think Ozu's another one where you really, the more you've lived, the better Ozu is, really. But yeah, Phantom of Liberty is one of those ones it is one of those ones I go back to every so often when I feel the need to just watch humanity as its most insane.
Yeah.
So you've got your fourth choice now?
Yeah. Well, I'll go with a Japanese film called Pastoral to Die in the Country. And this is also one that you can watch on YouTube, but it's not on physical media. So,
what's it called again?
Pastoral to Die in the Country.
All right.
Yeah. So it's by Shuichi Terayama, who is a Japanese new wave filmmaker, avant-garde filmmaker, and a poet. And this film is one of his most surreal ones, but again, it's footing also in the kind of avant-garde tradition, so you can kind of argue, is it surrealism, is it avant-garde, or is it both, or can it be both? But I think it has those surrealist elements that many of these other films have too. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think with avant-garde and surrealism, it's like they're feeding from some of the same urges. It's just a different expression, so they're pulling with bits of both in them.
Yeah. But this is about a director who wants to kind of recreate his childhood through a film, making a film. So it has that kind of very weird meta narrative that is kind of very difficult to grasp. It's about time. It has very transgressive imagery with kind of attempted rape and a woman kind of giving her child away through like a stream of water, such just sending her child away and things like that. And the visuals are very weird because it has those kind of color tinted shots, like those really weird colors, kind of like City of Pirates, but this is even more kind of in your face way. It does that, and with like very lavish colors. There's yellow, purple, red, and it looks very crazy. And there are lots of kind of things that you don't see in real life. But this is not like a completely incomprehensible film, and it's not. And it has a narrative, but it's just very fragmentary and non-linear and weird. Yeah.
Yeah, because I've never seen this one, but a lot of Japanese films in the 60s, the directors got some freedom. They could do some weird shit. I mean, like you look at Blind Beast or Tokyo Drifter and things like that, where it's like a lot of Japanese directors can go crazy with color and crazy with ideas if I've given a bit of a shot, really. Because everyone thinks Japan's very kind of staid, but there's a lot of crazy films from that country.
Yeah.
That's why I love that country for films. There's so many insane ones. Even some of the more mainstream films can be insane.
Yeah, like Battle Royale and stuff like that.
Yeah. But even some of the 70s, like genre films, sometimes it's like, was the studio paying attention to this, or are they just churning stuff out and hoping for the best? Because some of this stuff's just insane. Some of the stuff they're doing in this film is just insane. Like there's one Graveyard of Honor in the 70s, and it's just crazy. The whole film, you're thinking of feeling you're in a kind of a dream world of a crazy lead character doing insane stuff, and it feels almost dreamlike. And it's just like, how is this film even made?
And even some more recent films from like Sion Sono and Tsukamoto, like those can be quite surreal at times too. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like, I think Japan, a lot of the stuff we'd call surrealism is just part of their kind of palette of, because a lot of their, maybe you look at some of their kaiju stuff, the fact that it doesn't look realistic doesn't really matter to them. It's all part of the play. They understand exactly what the films are. And the view of what's reality and what goes on the screen is more playful than what we have in the West. It just is. It's just like they can take absurdity, and it's fine. It's just like that's just the nature of the world. For them, that we take far more seriously in the West. Like, we must have a reason for stuff, and in Japan it's like, who cares?
Yeah, I think they kind of need an outlet to escape all the kind of traditions and social norms that they have to abide by in their real life. So
yeah. So it does seep out and straight. I mean, it used to be like when Hammer did the horror movies, it'd be a bit more violence for the Japanese market because for some reason it would do well in the Japanese market just because of all the repression in that society. It'd be really popular if you had a bit more gore there, and it was like, oh, I guess that's their way to get out their system. All the politeness. So I'm going for Journey to the Beginning of Time, the Carl Zeman film, which looks like a kids' movie to start with. It's set up as a kids' movie. It's sold as a kids' movie, but it's really surrealism because it takes what we'd see as a child imagination and puts it as almost a reality of what they're going through. So it's like these kids in an Eastern Bloc country travel down a river, during the summer holidays, and they start to go back in time, and they start to run into like dinosaurs, and then they go further back and further back before the dinosaurs. And it's a delightful child's movie, but it's also feels very surrealistic about what goes on in our minds and what we see as society and what we see as realistic. Again, with the Eastern Europeans, like realism didn't really matter so much to them. It was just like sometimes it's a way to look at the absurdity of the culture we're stuck in. Sometimes it was just like, this is a delightful image, I'm going to do it. Like Zeman was really, sometimes you watch his films and it's like, it feels like surrealism, but it could also just be him having fun, because he would do these these like special effects that were very kind of crude. They were not meant to be taken as realistic, but they would just be fun. Have you seen this film?
No, I haven't.
So, all right. I'd recommend you see it because it's delightful as a film, as like a kid's film. It's one of the best kids' films. Also, as you're watching it, it goes into this kind of thing of you're almost. I think a lot of surrealistic films, you feel like you get into a sort of other world of its own rules. And this film has that kind of feel to it, which is what I feel like when I'm watching a Videodrome or a David Lynch film. I don't feel like I'm in this world. There's its own rules to it. And there's a sort of pacing to it. A lot of times, surrealistic films that you can just instantly sense, even though it's not really like there's not a kind of indicator. It's just like there is its own rules, really. And this film has that, as a lot of Zeman films have.
Yeah, I haven't seen any films by the director, but I've seen some clips of this film, and then I've heard some people talk about it. So, but I need to watch it. So,
yeah, but it is wonderful. Highly recommend it. It's sort of like one of those things. I've now said it looks less surreal because it sounds like a Hollywood movie, but when you watch it, it's nothing like Jurassic Park or those movies, because a lot of mainstream movies take the kind of fantasy element of surrealism and they just make it like an adventure story, and they don't go into how weird it all is because they don't want to freak anyone out. And it's like, a lot of that stuff is weird, but you want to have a plot to it, you want to have logic to it, rather than, no, this is wonderfully fantastic and it ties into the emotions of the characters, and that's what's important rather than the plot, which is why this film works better, because they're going further and further into time. It creates its own weird reality that's just delightful. So I'll go to your fifth option.
Yeah. So I left the pornographic surrealism for the final pick. So
I saw that, don't worry.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember what you left. Yeah, but this is a kind of experimental gay film from the 70s called Pink Narcissus by James Bidgood, who I think filmed it with a very low budget, like in his apartment over several years. And this is the only film that he made, which is very sad because he had so much talent. But it's basically about a young gay sex worker and about his fantasies, sex fantasies. And we kind of go through the fantasies kind of one by one. So it's just very fragmentary. It doesn't have any plot. It's just about those fantasies that are done in a very kind of campy, over the top way with like these weird colors, like lots of pink and gold and things like that. And yeah, it just shows those fantasies in a very experimental, weird, but beautiful way. And that kind of is what makes it surrealist, that it's all about dreams and how weird they are and how they are about these kind of animalistic desires. And yeah, that the dreams don't really have like a coherent plot to them. They just happen, and they are these kind of fragments of our wants and needs, etc. So this is a really amazing film. I really love it, but maybe it's not as kind of overtly political as many of the other surrealist films that we've talked about. Of course, it's like a 70s film about a young gay sex worker, so in that way it's political, and of course all films in the end are political in some way, but this doesn't like really focus on kind of political issues in the world, so in that way it's not that political, but of course there is a small political element there too. So
yeah. It's at a time when there's not much gay rights, really.
Yeah.
It's pretty repressed. Its existence pretty much is political, really. Yeah. I mean, if you're going to look for it, there is a lot of like gay films in the 60s and 70s that a lot of people would not want, a lot of like repressed mainstream, political movements would not want to have been shown, really. But again, I've not seen this one. But that's the thing. Is like it's hard to explain some of these films, like why they're surrealist. Because you explain this one, it's a lot of his imagination. My last choice, which is all about what sounds like a kid's film, but when you actually see it, it feels surrealistic.
Yeah.
But explaining it sometimes make you think, is it really? And it's like, yeah, it actually is when you see it. Because we don't have the advantage of showing stills from the films or anything. We're just like talking about them.
Yeah, this would have been a good this would be a good double bill with Fassbinder's Gerel, because that's also kind of a sex fantasy, kind of with weird style, but that has a bit more of a coherent plot than this. So I ended up with this one, but that is a kind of an honorable mention that I could also give here. So
yeah. So I was just going to my weird sex surrealist film with Eyes Wide Shut, which does feel like it's a perfect partner for your film there. There's something we've both seen. It's a Stanley Kubrick film. Now, a lot of Kubrick films have a surrealistic touch to them, because I was watching, I was showing my nephew some Kubrick films, like Doctor Strangelove and 2001. And as you're watching them and you're watching the narrative, it's like there's a lot of surrealism to this stuff. It's like just the way it's been put together. Under the surface, it's kind of there. It's like because he never had a clue where these films were going. He had no clue where they were going because they were so unconventional in the story. And it was like, I just watched it thinking, yeah, a lot of these films do have an influence of surrealism, just the way Kubrick puts his films together. But Eyes Wide Shut is where Kubrick, I mean, looked at The Shining, there's a surrealism in it as well. So he brought this into his filmmaking more overtly later in his career. But Eyes Wide Shut, it could be a dream, it could be reality. And of course, they use big movie stars in a big film studio to finance it, to make a weird surrealistic film, which is almost surrealistic in itself. To use the biggest movie star of the last 40 years, Tom Cruise, in a surreal film about a guy who feels cucked by his wife, and he goes through these weird fantasies walking through New York and almost getting laid but not quite, and he's repressed and he's thinking about sex all the time but he can't get any. And it's like, so what was marketed as a sexy film is about the lack of sex and what it does to the human brain, and it's a shot as if it's a dream. So the book is based on, it's called Dream Story. So I've read the book, and it feels more overtly a dream story than the film. The film feels like it's is more subtle about it. He could be dreaming, he could not be dreaming. But just the atmosphere of it all just feels like Christmas, the way Christmas is sort of dreamlike in its own way, and it's got its own reality to it, and it's also like sort of mix between like what we see as intimacy and what actually is going on in people's minds, which is out of control. Far more out of control than we'd ever like to imagine. And they go into all this stuff about potential like rich men orgies, which were mocked at the time, but now we look at the Epstein stuff and go, that's pretty much, accurate.
Yeah, they should have cast Donald Trump in this film.
Yes. But yeah, no, I mean, it is about our idea of what the rich get up to and what things we're missing out in life. So it's lots of things going on in it. And this is the atmosphere of, is it real, is it not? And that's why it's so realistic. It's like, you're never quite sure, because it always acts as if it's a realistic film, but it's really not. It adds this kind of weird tension to it.
Yeah, and it really has this dreamy, hypnotic vibe all the way through, but also kind of tonally, it kind of jumps around a little bit. There are times when it seems almost like a normal film, but then it kind of slaps you in the face with like really transgressive stuff and things like that. And that's, of course, part of the surrealism, that you have these kind of real world themes, but then they are kind of twisted around and kind of get made fun of and made into something more irrational.
Yeah, because he never has a clue what's going on. He's always behind. He's one step behind. And there's lots of funny performances. There's a lot of actors doing funny bits for Kubrick. Kubrick always loves big performances, and this film has lots of them that are really enjoyable. But you could choose a lot of Kubrick films for Surrealism, but I just thought this one would be quite good to bring up, especially as there's now a new 4K coming out, which I've pre-ordered from Criterion, and I'm waiting on it because it's been delayed, and I'm frustrated. Because it's a perfect Christmas Day film.
Yeah, I think Nicole Kidman is always really good in these kind of more serious, artsier films. Yeah. Like I just watched also Jonathan Glazer's Birth. That's also coming out on Criterion, and that could have been almost in this list as well. That's really good, yeah.
Yes. I saw it in the cinema. When I saw it in the cinema, it came out. I saw that one on my birthday in the cinema.
Yeah.
Which is a nice birthday treat.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Buff's amazing. Buff's really good. I mean, all the Glazer films are really good. His stuff, they all have this tinge of it's not quite reality. There's something else going on. Yeah. Even like his last one, the one on the Oscar things, it's a really odd way to look at the Holocaust. It feels kind of very strange and kind of almost surreal, and it's how it's always in the background, and that's like almost political by not letting you indulge in your kind of like anger about what has happened. No, we're going to stick you with the perpetrators and just show them as being like you. Yeah. That's kind of pretty dark.
Yeah, and I think Under the Skin is very surrealist as well. So,
yeah.
More of that sci-fi, kind of low-budget sci-fi way.
Yeah, I just found out one of my friends was a background extra in that film.
Okay.
He was talking to me last week. I was like, yeah, they just come up. And he'd been an extra in that film. And I'm like, really?
Yeah, the only film from him that I still need to see is Sexy Beast. I think that was his first like feature-length film. So,
yeah, it's really good. I like his other films more than this one. It's based on a play, and I think some of the theatrical stuff. But it's still really well done. But I like his, I like Birth and Under the Skin a lot more. And his new one is one of interest. But yeah, there's lots of directors you've got surrealism floating through their films. It just feels like it's something it's always floating under the surface of films. Sometimes it gets co-opted into horror movies when they have all the explanations. And it's like, just stick to what's interesting about the subject and don't explain it, and it's going to work better for you. You don't need to explain some of this stuff. Yeah. And in fantasy movies, it becomes like, we have to explain it all, and it's like, no, you don't. The image is good, and now you explained it for 10 minutes, and now I don't care. It's like, because people can take it. if you do it the right way. But I think it's a kind of audience, like I think studio execs like explanations.
I think kind of out of the more mainstream directors these days, I think Yorgos Lanthimos definitely has some surrealist vibes on his films. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just watched Begonia, which I'm doing a review of tomorrow.
Yeah.
So look forward to that one.
Yeah.
I like Begonia. A lot of people I know don't like Begonia. And I was like, okay. Well, I'd never seen the original. I just saw it as a film. I haven't seen Save the Green Planet, so it was like, I like the favorite. I mean, I know Ronan's a massive fan of him, but for me, Lanthimos is one of those directors. Yeah, he's good, but I haven't seen enough of his films. I've seen some, but not all.
Yeah, I love The Lobster the most. I think Ronin is the same. So.
Yeah. It's one of those ones I've got on my watch list to watch. I've got a watch list backlog that's insane. But I now just do a thing now where I fancy watching the film, so I'll watch it. And so you end up getting around to everything. So you just watch it when you're in the mood for watching it. So.
And his film The Killing of a Sacred Deer actually has a good role from Nicole Kidman. Like when I was saying that Nicole Kidman is really good in these serious films. So.
Yeah. Well, she's a good actress, but she's just too much trash, really.
Yeah.
There's again, Japan's one of the places where you feel there's a lot of surrealism, but it's just like on the surface. It's almost like it's just there. It's part of the culture. There's something in the water that makes them just think, well, that's a normal thing to do, is just put this weird stuff in and not explain it. I mean, Takashi Miike just does not give a shit about what he throws in his films. He's just like, I'm going to throw this weird thing in for 20 minutes and I don't care if you don't like it. And, I'm really bored of that.
Yeah, and I was gonna go with Nobuhiko Obayashi's works because he made a film called House, which is like one of the most famous surrealist examples, and many of his other films are like that too. So.
Yeah, I've got quite a few of his later films I need to watch.
Yeah.
It's just that thing. It's just being in the right mood to watch them. It's just like I'm kind of moody. Like when I watch a film, I'll suddenly watch about 5 films of the same director when I'm in the right mood. Like I watched a bunch of Sam Fuller films this year, just went through tons of them because I was suddenly in the mood to watch his films. So
yeah, Obayashi has been kind of one of my favorites in the last couple of years, and I kind of now he's even in my like top 20. I've started loving his films so much. So,
yeah. It just becomes this thing of you just have to like it's just when you watch the film, you watch them, you feel like watching them. Look out! I just watched Shugetsu again, so suddenly I'm now into Mitsuguchi. So I need to watch them filmed. I'm like, I've got quite a few of them on Blu-ray. And I'm like, I need to start watching these again. These are really something. Because I liked Shugetsu before, but when I saw it again like a few weeks ago, it blew me away. It was like, this is just so good. And then I didn't even realize I'd done a review of it a few years ago, and I'd forgotten about it.
Yeah, it was the same for me. That it kind of blew me away on the second time, and Sancho the Bailiff did that too.
That absolutely destroyed me the first time. It was just like, wow. It's just surrealism is just this kind of weird thing. It's like it just floats through the films. Although I think we've now wandered off to other stuff now in the conversation. But I think a lot of films I kind of I just whatever I'm in the mood for now is I'm happy to watch. It's like feel like watching this, I'll feel like watching that. That's what I watch. I don't have any kind of guilt about it anymore. But I guess it's a saner way to do it than trying to impose anything.
Yeah. And one director I could also mention is Jacques Rivette. Like some of his films are very surrealist, like Duel, for example, is kind of like a 70s Mulholland Drive.
Yeah, I mean, we look at Selena and what's that film, Go Boating?
Yeah, Selena and Julie Go Boating.
Yeah, I can never remember the title, even though it's a wonderful film. Yeah. It's just great, and it's that's one you should really see. Anyone watches this, you rush out and watch that film. It's amazing. You won't have a clue where it's going ever. It's just wonderful.
And the Czech version of that is Daisies, basically, like about the woman there.
Yeah. Daisies is wonderful. Another one Ronan's not a fan of. What would we do with him?
Well, the film is about women, so
Yeah.
It's not about toxic gun-slaying men killing each other, so yeah.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, no, it's like maybe you've always got a good chance against surrealism when you just go to any Eastern European film in the 60s and 70s. There's going to be some of it in there somewhere. It's, they can't really resist it, and they can't really do it. That's the only way they can really see what they think a lot of the time. But yeah, it's I think there's a lot around under the surface surrealism in films. It's just one of those things. It's like it just has to be a bit of it rather than don't people like it to be the full thing. You know, it's not like especially American films. American films, I think they're very kind of wary of it. They think it's just too weird. Like, wait a minute, the film has more meanings than one meaning. And the British director, I think, had a lot of surrealism floating through the films, even though it wasn't the surface. It was Alexander McKendrick who did The Lady Killers, Sweet Smell of Success, The Man in the White Suit. He's a terrific director, and there's a lot of stuff in his film, the way it's shot. There's hints of surrealism in there as well, but because they're made by Alien, they're kind of suppressed, but they just float through the films in a fun way that's just there. I'm sure the makers, the producers probably weren't very happy with, but it just floats under the surface of those films. So I think there's a lot of surrealism that just goes around in films. Just you have to look for it. Like a lot of the better directors have it somewhere in the films. So is that us then, you think? We've done this, and we've done another bit as well. I think we're had to do it in 2 parts for technical problems, but I hope you enjoyed both of these. We enjoyed talking about them. We'll be back soon. I'm sure we'll include Ronan. We'll let him back in. You know, he's not been banned. He's just a way and a half because we're talking surrealism.
Yeah, Rennie Harlin.
Yeah, he's watching Rennie Harlin films. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate insult to him.
Yeah. It's not an insult; it's a compliment. So.
Yes. Yeah. So, thank you for coming on this live stream with me. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah.
Well, see you all later.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
And stream.